Hey, what's up, man? Sending out this link. We're live discussing. I keep saying the mayor. He's not the mayor yet, though.
No, that's the thing. I wanted to talk about that as well tonight before talking about all the other stuff. There are lots of people right now thinking that this guy, Mamdani, is elected to be the mayor of New York City. That's not the case yet.
Not yet. Not quite. He's the Democratic nominee, which would make him sort of landslide favorite to be the next mayor because they're not going to vote for a Republican. With that said,
Why did you mute yourself, man?
what? Am I muted? I'm not
We couldn't
muted.
hear we just couldn't hear the last thing that you said.
Check. I'm not muted. That's your stupid computer. Why don't you fix it?
They're not going to vote for a Republican candidate, you said. The thing
They're
is,
not. Hang on, no. Anything could happen. They could, but they won't. They could vote for an independent. So here's basically the thing, right? They already understand what a disaster this will be for them, right? Like the Democratic Party, like New Yorkers were dumb. It was a bunch of rich white people who decided to. No, it was the children of a bunch of rich white people who decided to make this guy the nominee. You can actually look at the statistics. Black voters, Hispanic voters, they voted. They went for Cuomo. It's the spoiled rich white kids who said, no, let's go with the socialist. Not only is he a socialist, he's a Muslim socialist. That makes us extra progressive, right? So they signed on for this guy. And so he's the Democratic nominee. He beat Cuomo for the Democratic nominee. So that makes him, like, again, landslide victory, looks like, for him. However, you've also got the party. They understand this will be an absolute disaster for them. They understand that they've been associated with every sort of insane policy. And I'll say, what happened years ago? Bernie Sanders was the one who was supposed to be the nominee. They torpedoed him. They found a way to get Bernie out of the way, even though he had like the most momentum and stuff. They understand they don't want a socialist to be the face of their party. They can kind of deal with an annoying AOC here or there. But being the mayor of New York City and driving that into the ground, bad luck. So everyone else is saying if you're the Democratic nominee at this time, there are people saying like 100% chance because it's just that clear. I think there's a good chance they'll do something to torpedo him, namely swinging their support towards an independent candidate, because Eric Adams, who's the current mayor, had all sorts of scandals and so on, and so he's decided to run as an independent. And Andrew Cuomo, who lost the Democratic primary, is also, people told me the other day, they're like, no, he dropped out. As far as I tell, he did not drop out. So one of those guys is going to be compelled to drop out. And so what you're going to find is, and if you're thinking, oh, but Andrew Cuomo, he didn't win the Democratic primary, so why would he win the actual election? Well, because more people are voting, right? And you have a bunch of other people who would be basically voting against this socialist Muslim guy. So they're going to need one of those guys to drop out, because you don't want to be running two guys, which will split the anti-socialist vote. So one of those guys is going to be caused to drop out, and other people rally around him. And I suspect some higher ups in the Democratic Party are going to want to torpedo that guy, because you do not want to be the party that destroyed New York City with your absolutely insane. If you listen to this dude, he is like, he's beyond AOC. He's beyond AOC nut job. And so anyway, but it's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you that much.
I wonder at this point. Let's see. Let's look at some statistics here. Let us look at some statistics. So he is the current candidate of the Democrats, which very, very much gives him a huge advantage and makes people assume that he's going to become the mayor of New York City. Let's look at the voters here. So, see which neighborhoods and groups drove Mamdani's success in the NYC primary. And what we can see here, this doesn't say very, very much to me. It probably does to you because you used to live in New York.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait, what are the colors? Orange is what?
Orange is Mamdani,
Okay.
and the other one is Cuomo.
Okay, now look, that big block of orange right there in the middle. Big block of orange right there in the middle. And then over there on the side. And then I'm looking. So for everyone, like Bronx is up north, Brooklyn's down at the bottom. Staten Island's over there on the side. Then you have Manhattan, looks like a giant phallus of the men of Al Zut. And then in the middle there, you got Queens. But yeah, looks like Manhattan went hardcore, Mamdani, and then a good chunk of Queens, namely the chunk of Queens that is close to Manhattan. And matter of fact, this is actually perfect. Yeah, so you've got most of Manhattan. You look up at the Bronx, they went Cuomo, and then the sections of Brooklyn and Queens that are close to Manhattan went Mamdani. So basically, the closer you go to Manhattan, the rich area, the closer you get to Mamdani. And the farther you get away from that, the more you get to the working class, and they went Cuomo.
That's very, very funny. Mr. Mamdani, a 33-year-old Democratic Socialist, also ran up large vote tallies in the affluent brownstone-lined blocks of Brooklyn. I don't want to read those.
See what I just said?
Yeah,
the part that's close to Manhattan.
South Asian populations. His main rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, had hoped to reassemble Mayor Eric Adams' winning 2021 coalition of Black, Hispanic, and Orthodox Jewish voters, but instead lost ground in some of those communities. This is where it outlines where Eric Adams won. And then, let's see, Mr. Mamdani, who campaigned on addressing New York's affordability crisis, performed stronger than his rivals in areas where a majority of residents are college graduates, as well as in middle income and higher income.
The same people have been trained to run around going, free Palestine, free Palestine. Those people grow up and become voters, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
And their parents are rich, which is how they were at Columbia and all these other places.
He won most areas with a majority of Asian residents and was modestly outpacing Mr. Cuomo in majority Hispanic areas.
Oh, yeah. Notice the Asians. It was whites and Asians, as far as I recall, when this was coming out.
Mr. Cuomo had more support in areas with a majority of Black residents and in areas where a majority of residents are low income.
By the way, isn't this interesting? You've got a guy who comes out, hey, I'm going to make I'm going to make public transportation free. I'm going to make childcare free and universal. I'm going to give you everything for free. We're going to open all these state-owned grocery stores to give you cheaper stuff. And all the working class are going, you think we're stupid? We're not voting for you, giant moron. We're not falling for this. And all the wealthy, college-educated, college-brainwashed whites and Asians are going, yay, our hero, yay, he's going to make a difference. Look how progressive we'll be if we vote for this guy. And again, the working class is like, are you stupid? Are you freaking stupid?
Are you dumb? Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? That's what they said. There were some exceptions, most notably Mr. Cuomo's strong performance on the Upper West and East Sides in Manhattan, where Mamdani struggled to win over an older, wealthier electorate, which includes a sizable segment of Jewish voters.
Yeah, see that? It's the older. It's interesting how these things line up. The older people, they're not falling for it. It's the young, wealthy people from wealthy families and college-educated people. In other words, people who just got out of the Free Palestine campuses. They're all going from Mamdani.
Isn't Israel a big thing in New York, like annually or something? Like
there's an Israel Day parade. There's an Israel Day parade.
This is very funny, man.
What? There's also dude, people don't realize you've got about 1 million Jews who live in the 5 boroughs. So if you add up all the Jews that live in the 5 boroughs, I think like half of them are in Brooklyn. I think like half of them are in Brooklyn. But you've got 1 million Jews basically in the 5 boroughs. That is a huge, huge Jewish population. In fact, I think it's either the biggest Jewish population outside of Tel Aviv, or if you just take like the city itself and not include like the suburbs around it, I think New York may have the highest Jewish population and even higher Jewish population than Tel Aviv.
Nice. Now here, Mamdani, higher income residents, he wins them. Middle income residents, lower income residents, he loses. Cuomo wins. More white
Catch that?
residents.
Lower income. Those are the people
Yeah.
he's supposedly helping. I'm here to help you, lower income people, and they're going, yeah, we don't trust you. We think you're full of it.
Most black people clearly vote for Cuomo and not for that guy. Asians and white people vote for him. Huh. That's very, very interesting. Now, all of this aside, what do you think is the big problem with having such a guy elected as the mayor of New York City? I mean, it's not like it's a country. It's just a city, man. What's your problem, David? What's your problem with this guy? What's wrong with you?
Well, I mean, New York City's a pretty important place to destroy. But here, let me give people the big picture of what happens, because the big picture here, there are 2 political systems that don't seem to do a good job making places where people actually want to live, and that's socialism and Islam. They do a crap job of making places where people want to live. And they tend to ruin places, and then people want to get out of those places, and then they move to other places that don't have those political systems. But then what's crazy is the people who leave socialist countries or leave Muslim countries, they come to Western countries, and then they start cheering for the exact same policies of the places they fled. And when you say, hey, if you like Sharia, why didn't you stick with your place which had Sharia? And it's like, oh, but they don't do Sharia right. Here, we'll do it right. Okay, can you point to a place that where this has actually worked? No. Why do you think it's going to work here? Because we're going to do it right. And at what point do you say, okay, this is a crap system that just doesn't work? Anyway, long story short, Islam does a pretty terrible job of making places where anyone wants to live. Socialism does a pretty terrible job of making places where anyone wants to live. So the genius idea in New York is now, hey, let's combine the 2 systems that never work anywhere into one big ball. And then that each one of these weird political systems that never works anywhere will be the missing piece of the other one, and the reason it never worked. And somehow they'll come together like Voltron and do a much better job. But here's the thing. If you listen to what he's saying, and this is exactly what he says, he's going to make public transportation free. He's going to make childcare free. He's going to make all these cheap grocery stores and everything. And he knows it's not actually free, right? Like you hear that. Oh yeah. Why can't everything just be free? Like, guys, you understand there's stuff isn't really free. All you mean is someone else is paying for it. So his real message is, hey, instead of you paying for your bus, we'll make someone else pay for your bus. Instead of you paying for your child's care, we'll make someone else pay for it. And this all goes back down to these people not understanding how reality works. When you say, hey, instead of millions, so there are millions of people in New York, and over half of them use public transportation to get to work. If you say, hey, all of you millions of people who take the bus or the subway every day, we're going to make rich people pay for that instead of you, those rich people aren't going to stay around for that, right? Rich people are going to pack up their stuff and go somewhere else. You're going to take away any incentive they had for remaining in New York if you just say, hey, we're going to use your money to pay for people's bus rides now and for their childcare. So here's what happens. It just happened in France recently. But basically, you've got the upper class, the middle class, the lower class. You say the upper class, you know what? We're going to tax you. We're going to raise taxes on you guys. We're going to make you pay more so you can pay more for the middle class and the lower class. Then what happens? You're not trapped in this city. There's nothing holding you in this city. It's one thing if you did it in the entire country and you'd have to uproot and move to another country. That would be quite a bit of work. But leaving New York and going somewhere else is pretty darn easy to do. People just go to Florida. And New York is famous for people getting sick of New York and then moving to Florida. It's famous for it. So anyway, what happens is when you say, hey, upper class, we're going to take all your stuff and give it to people down, in the middle class or lower class, those people say, you know what, screw this, we're leaving. So they leave and go to Florida. Then you've got the middle class. Guess what? Now they're the richest ones. They're not making any more money than they were before, but now they're the new upper class. So now what the government has to tax them more. So now the middle class, they get taxed more. And so then the middle class, they have to leave. And now all you've got is the lower class. And how much money can you squeeze out of them to run all your free programs and so on? And then you basically destroy a city. Because here's the thing. Even though it may be, even though you have to push people really hard to get them to just pack up and move and leave the city that they love, they will do it. They will do it. It's quite a bit of work. You have to be doing a pretty crap job as leaders in New York to get all these millionaires and so on and billionaires to leave New York City. Once you do, almost impossible to get them back. In other words, 5 years from now, once you realize, wow, we have run our city into the ground, we lost all the millionaires, now there's no one for us to tax to pay for everything, we've just screwed everything up. So let's go ahead and get a better leader in. It's kind of too late. Those people aren't coming back. They're not going, oh yeah, you fixed it, you got a mayor. Let me just pack up from Florida and move back to New York. You're going to lose these people, and this is how you destroy an entire city.
Hey, this is a cool picture. I know it's supposed to be a joke, but it looks kind of cool.